So you've done all this incredible work to kind of elevate, the art and science of building trust and connecting with patients and users. And you alluded earlier to some hypotheses you may have around sort of where this might head and what might be really effective. I'm super, after hearing that, I'm super curious now if you could maybe elaborate a little bit on that.
With that, having the patient's entire hearts and mind understood and being able to convey exactly, where they're at in that exact moment. So how do you do that digitally? How do you translate that? How do you know exactly what they need in that moment? Is it assessments? Is it biomarkers? Is it self-reports? How do you know? I mean, it's just really hard because you're taking out that therapist, that counselor, that provider, that care team, and you're replacing it with a screen. So you need to rely on, I think, a multifaceted approach to understanding that. Maybe it's all of the above, but you have to have, again, enough pathways to address everything, to address that emotional need, that physical need, that and even that clinical need. You have to have enough understanding, and so that takes information from the patient. And so I think that's what's so exciting about digital therapeutics and prescription digital therapeutics, is that this is a hub of getting all of that information, but you really do need the patient to be there, to want to at least provide that information. I mean, but there are ways in which the provider can then provide some of that information, and that gets fed back into the therapeutic. The provider can see the patient and, let's just say for substance or opioid use disorder and different urine drug screens. Well, those results can get fed back in, and that can be, one of the first experiences that a patient has with understanding their health and what's going on with them. And how do you take that moment and bring in, some really powerful alliance with the therapeutic, and then also with the care team as well. And so it's really interesting. So I hypothesize that it's going to be a hybrid approach, and it's going to needs to be very personalized. And this takes a lot of, deep technology to really to really power up this very personalized experience. And then it also takes that very soft skills of being able to create content that has, a patient-centered voice, specifically their voice at times, just really paired with that clinical content.
I'm going to run with that and ask Tim, are there other, clearly digital health, digital therapeutics, these are rapidly evolving spaces. Are there other sort of trends or hypotheses that you find just particularly compelling and kind of can't wait to see how they play out over the coming years?
Yeah, I think the one that I am most excited about is, getting out of, I think I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I see a lot of where we are right now as kind of really reliant on what's already existing in the literature and doing that direct translation. And I think what excites me is a world where we don't necessarily, wholesale move away from what we already know works, but we begin to, as a field, contribute science to the overall treatment landscape in a way that allows us to go beyond just cognitive behavioral therapy or other third wave therapies, to really embrace, new ways of delivering treatment. So kind of, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, getting out of the CBT rut where not everything needs to be cognitive behavioral therapy. Instead, we can be asking ourselves and really pushing ourselves to think about, given the opportunity we have within a disease state to leverage technology, what can we do and how can we deliver a therapeutic value to someone in ways that maybe haven't been, explored before? And how can we do this in a way that contributes back to the overall, treatment landscape, so that these learnings, what the scientific knowledge can be made available to other people for other folks to uptake them and apply them. So instead of relying heavily on the work that's come before us, we begin to kind of pay our fair share of contributing back to the larger scientific pool, ideas and ways in which, these things that we can do and ways to help people can really be brought to bear. So I think that, to me, that's something that I'm particularly excited about, is just how we start to introduce new clinical science, led by digital therapeutics back into kind of this overall scientific process.